I've had people ask recently for longer videos so that they can listen while relaxing, sleeping, or even resetting emotionally. So I've put together some of the most powerful talks that I've done so far, all in one place. I hope you like. If you've ever gone out, done the same thing and thought afterwards, why did I even do that? Then this is for you. I hear this so many times. People saying, I knew I didn't even want to go, but I went anyway. Same places, same people, same feeling afterwards. And it starts to feel like you're stuck in it. But this isn't about a lack of discipline. It's about habit and what your mind goes to when it's bored, uncomfortable, or trying to escape something. Because doing the same thing, even when it doesn't feel good, is still easier than sitting with emptiness or silence. So you go, not because you want to, but because it's familiar. You're not choosing the night out, you're choosing relief from how you feel before it. So, a few methods to think about. You could pause before you go, before saying yes, stop. And ask yourself, do I actually want this, or am I just filling time? And that question alone can change things. You could also name the feeling first. What are you avoiding? Boredom, loneliness, restlessness? When you name it, you don't have to escape it the same way. Also try and break the automatic yes. You don't have to stop everything, just interrupt the pattern. So try, I'm not bothered tonight, I'll go next time. Because one different choice can weaken the loop. Also, if you do go, check the after feeling. Start paying attention to how you feel afterwards, not just before. And ask yourself, do I feel better or do I feel drained? Energized or empty? Let that guide your next decision. Also replace and don't remove, because if you just stop, the boredom comes back stronger. So swap it. Maybe take a walk, some music, early night, or something you enjoy. Or even just go with one person instead of a crowd. You're not losing something, you're changing it. If you do go, look at the environment. Sometimes it's not you, it's who you're around. So ask yourself, do these people bring out the best of me? Or am I autopilot here? Your environment shapes your habits more than your willpower does. You're not stuck in this, you're just in a pattern that's been repeated enough to feel normal to you. But the moment you pause, the moment you question it, is the moment you start choosing instead of reacting. If this helped you see things a little clearer, share it with someone who might need it too. Because a lot of people are living on autopilot and don't even realise it. And every share helps me keep doing this too. Hope you enjoyed today. If so, please like, subscribe, pass it on to others, and take care. Let me say something that might be hard to hear. Addiction doesn't end when someone says it does. Because behind the scenes, there's often silence, denial, and a lot of lying. Not just for others, but to themselves. When someone is struggling with addiction, it's not just about the substance or the behaviour, it's about escape. Escape from feelings they don't know how to sit with, escape from pain they don't have words for, and escape from themselves. So when they say, I've stopped, sometimes what they really mean is, I want to stop. I'm trying to stop. I don't want to lose you. But addiction is powerful, and the brain will protect the addiction before it protects the truth. The lying without the shame, this is where people get it wrong. They think they're lying because they don't care, but often they're lying because they're ashamed, because admitting the truth means facing guilt, loss of control, fear of being judged or abandoned. So the lie becomes a shield. I've only had one, I'm fine, I don't need help. And slowly they start believing it too. And then there's the internal battle, because inside it's exhausting. Part of them wants to stop, part of them is still hooked. It's like living two lives, the version they show the world and the version they hide. And the gap between those two creates even more pain. That's why addiction can feel like a loop you can't escape. Not because they're weak, but because they're overwhelmed. So here's some practical methods to help. Remove shame first. You cannot heal when you are ashamed to admit. Start with, I'm struggling instead of I've failed. Shame keeps addiction alive and honesty weakens it. Another one is get honest, even if it's messy. Not perfect honesty, but real honesty. That might sound like I said I stopped, but I haven't. That one sentence can break the cycle. And understand the trigger, not just the habit. Ask, what am I trying not to feel? Is it stress, loneliness, trauma, boredom, feeling not enough? Because if you don't treat the root, the addiction just finds a new way in. Another one is create a pause, a nervous system reset. Before the urge takes over, try this simple method. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and breathe out for 6. Do that 5 times. This slows the nervous system and gives you space to choose, not react. Another one is replace, don't just remove. Addiction leaves a gap. Fill it with movement maybe. Do a walk, gym, shake it out. Talking, even one safe person to talk to. And grounding, some cold water on your face, breathe. Body awareness is good. And you're not just stopping something, you're rewiring your system. Also get support. You don't do this alone. Real healing happens in connection. That could be therapy, support groups, honest conversations with people. Because addiction thrives in isolation and weakens in truth. If this hits you or reminded you of somebody, just know this. Addiction isn't about being a bad person. It's about being a human who hasn't been shown how to cope yet. And healing, it doesn't start when everything is perfect. It starts with one honest moment. If you're ready to understand yourself more, to slow things down and actually heal, follow this space. And take care. You spend most of your life on hold, not just in your mind, but in real life too. On the phone, your call is important to us, waiting in queues, waiting in traffic, waiting for replies. But what if I told you, you're not just waiting in moments, you've learned to live there. We've normalised waiting. I'll start Monday, I'll say something later, I'll deal with it when I feel ready. And then there's the everyday waiting. Standing in a queue, scrolling, on hold, feeling frustrated, sitting in traffic, feeling stuck. But here's the deeper truth. It's not the waiting that's the problem. It's what it's doing to your mind. You're training yourself to pause your life, to delay decisions, to avoid discomfort, to allow, not yet. And slowly that becomes your default setting. So even when life isn't on hold, you are. So let's change that, not with pressure, but with awareness. The use the hold method. Next time you're waiting on the phone, or in a queue, or in traffic, don't scroll, just pause. Take a breath and ask yourself, what am I avoiding right now? Because waiting often gives your mind space. And what comes up in the space matters really. There is a 60-second reset, and instead of frustration, use waiting as a reset. Try this. Inhale slowly for 4, hold for 4, then exhale for 6. You could do that a few times. It will help you go from reactive to regulated. And that changes everything. There is a one small move rule too. We wait because we think we need big actions. You don't. So ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do today instead of waiting? Send a message, make the call, write the first line. Because movement breaks the hold. Catch the later lie. Notice how often you say, I'll do it later, and start catching it. And start catching it because later is often just fear in disguise. So replace it with, I'll do a small part of it now. And turn waiting into awareness, because that is the shift. Every time life puts you on hold, see it as a signal. Not to switch off, but to check in. How do I feel? What do I need? What am I putting off? And that's where real change starts, when you listen to yourself, listen to your thoughts, and listen to your needs. Life will always have waiting. Queues won't disappear, traffic won't stop, and people won't reply instantly. But you don't have to stay stuck in that energy. Because the truth is, life isn't putting you on hold. You're just used to living there. And the moment you become aware of that, you can choose differently. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. If you like that today, please comment, subscribe, like, pass it on to others, and have a super day. We've started talking about menopause more openly, and that matters. But many are going through hormonal changes too, just quieter, slower, and often alone. Testosterone doesn't suddenly stop, it gradually declines, and with it can come low mood, irritability, loss of motivation, poor sleep, weight gain, and low confidence. And instead of recognizing it, many men blame themselves. So let's shift that, because there are ways to help. Not quick fixes, but real, steady, supportive changes. Number 1 is move your body, especially strength training. This is one of the most powerful tools. Lifting weights or resistant training naturally supports testosterone and energy and mood. So even 2 to 3 times a week can make a difference to you. It's not punishment, it's support. Sort your sleep out too. Low testosterone and poor sleep go hand in hand. So late nights, scrolling, stress, they all chip away at recovery. So start simple. Consistent sleep time, no screens before bed, wind down routines. Because your body repairs while you rest. Reduce constant stress, because chronic stress raises cortisol, and cortisol suppresses testosterone. So it's not just in your head, it's chemical too. Building daily resets, walking, breathing space, time out without pressure. You don't have to be on all the time. Eat to support your body, not fight it. Undereating, over-processed food, and sugar spikes can worsen symptoms. Focus on protein, healthy fats, whole foods, and hydration. This isn't about dieting, it's about stabilizing your system. Also talk, don't bottle it. This is the hardest one for many men, but silence feeds the struggle. Whether it's a partner, friend, or therapist, speaking does change things. You don't need to have the perfect words, just start. I also suggest getting checked too, because sometimes it's not just stress. Blood tests can check testosterone levels, thyroids, and more. So there is support out there, but you have to take that first step. And here's the truth. This isn't weakness, it's not failure, it's change. And change needs understanding, not judgment. So if you or someone you love is feeling off, tired, flat, just not themselves, don't ignore it, don't shame it, support it. Because struggling in silence was never strength. If you like that today, please like, subscribe, comment, pass it on to others, and take care. When work becomes unbearable, there is a different kind of exhaustion. Not from the workload, but from the way you are treated while doing it. When your boss is power-driven, disrespectful, unpredictable, work stops being about your role then, and starts becoming about survival. You walk in already tense, you second-guess everything. You replay conversations in your head, and you feel watched, judged, and never quite good enough. And the hardest part is that you start wondering if it's you. But it's not. Some people use position not to lead, but to control. They interrupt, dismiss, talk down, change expectations, praise one day, pull you apart the next. And not because you are failing, but because instability keeps them in power. And slowly, without noticing, you shrink. Now let's shift this, and here's what you can do. You could name it privately. Stop internalizing it. Say to yourself, this is not me failing. This is unhealthy leadership. That one sentence protects your confidence. You could also detach emotionally. And this is key because you're not there for approval. You're there for a role. So mentally step back, observe, respond, don't react. Think as, this is behaviour, not truth. Keep communication factual, not emotional. Power-driven people feed off reaction. Say things like, can you clarify what outcome you'd like? Keep it calm, clear, professional, not fueled. Also document everything because this is your protection. Emails, changes in instructions, disrespectful incidents, dates and times. Not for revenge, for clarity and safety for you. Set micro boundaries too. You don't need a big confrontation, small shifts. Pause before answering. Don't over-explain yourself. Don't apologise unnecessarily. You teach people how to treat you in small moments. Regulate your nervous system daily because this kind of stress sits in your body. Try deep breathing before work, short walks after difficult interactions. Make sure to sleep well at night too. Magnesium can help. You need your strength, not a burnout. Reality check your environment and ask yourself honestly, is this a difficult period or a toxic pattern? If it's a pattern, start quietly planning options. Internal move, new job, speaking to HR, with evidence. The truth most people need to hear, you can be strong, capable, professional, and still be affected by a disrespectful environment. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. A boss who needs to belittle, control, or intimidate is not powerful. They are dependent on others feeling small for them to feel big. And your job is not to shrink to fit their behaviour. Your job is to protect your peace, your confidence, and your worth. Even if that means outgrowing the place that no longer respected you. If you like that today, please like, subscribe, comment, pass it on to others, and take care. A strong relationship isn't just about being lovers. It should also be about having a best friend. When people think about love, they can often imagine romance, passion, and attraction. And while those things are important, they aren't always what makes a relationship truly last. One of the strongest foundations of a healthy relationship is friendship. The best relationships are often the ones where two people aren't just partners, they're also best friends. Someone you genuinely enjoy being around. Someone you can laugh with, talk to for hours, and feel comfortable simply being yourself with. Because love isn't only about intense emotions, it's also about companionship. It's about having someone beside you who you can trust, respect, and feel safe around. In strong relationships, that trust runs deep. It's the kind of trust where you feel you can rely on that person with your life. And you know they would stand beside you in difficult moments. When friendship exists in a relationship, communication often becomes easier too. You feel able to talk openly about your thoughts, your worries, and your experiences without fear of judgment, just like you would with a close friend. Friendship in relationships also means supporting each other through life's challenges. A good partner stands beside you when things feel difficult and encourages you when you doubt yourself and celebrates all your success. They want to see you grow, and you want the same for them. Another powerful part of friendship in relationships is laughter. Being able to joke together, share humour, and enjoy simple everyday moments can strengthen the connection between two people. Not every moment has to be serious or romantic. Sometimes the smallest bonds are built in the smallest moments. Like talking about your day, sharing stories, laughing about something silly. And those everyday interactions help build emotional closeness over time. Romance can naturally change as relationships grow. When life becomes busy, responsibilities increase, but when a relationship is built on both love and friendship, it often stays strong. Because even when the excitement of the early stages settle, the friendship remains. You still enjoy each other's company. You're still comfortable together. And you still feel like you are walking through life as a team. And in many ways, the healthiest relationships feel like having both a partner and a best friend in one person. Someone who loves you deeply, supports you fully, and stands beside you no matter what. Because lasting love isn't only about passion. It's about friendship, trust, and knowing that the person beside you is someone you would trust with your life. I hope you like that today. If so, please like, subscribe, comment, pass on to others. Take care. When someone you love develops Alzheimer's, it doesn't only affect them, it affects the whole family. And many families feel unprepared for what the journey actually looks like. Alzheimer's is a progressive brain disease that affects memory, thinking, behaviour, and eventually daily functioning. In the early stages, the signs can be very subtle. A person might forget recent conversations, misplace items more often, struggle to find words, or repeat the same question. At first, families often think it's just normal ageing. But as Alzheimer's progresses, the changes become more noticeable. Your loved one may struggle with familiar tasks, get confused about time or place, or find it harder to make decisions. And one of the most difficult parts for families is this: the personality of the person you love can slowly change. Someone who was once confident may become anxious. Someone who was independent may begin to rely heavily on others. And this can be incredibly painful to witness. But there are some important things families should understand. First, many behaviours are not intentional. If someone with Alzheimer's becomes frustrated, repeats themselves, or forgets something you've just said, it's the illness affecting the brain, not the person trying to be difficult. Second, correcting them constantly can sometimes cause distress. Instead of saying, "No, that didn't happen," or "I've already told you," try gently redirecting the conversation or responding with reassurance. Often what they need is to feel safe. Routine can also make a huge difference. Keeping daily activities predictable, like walks, meals, and bedtime, can help reduce confusion and anxiety. Communication may also need to change. Speak slower, use simple sentences, and give them time to respond. Rushing or overwhelming someone with too much information can increase frustration. Another important reality is that families need support too. Caring for someone with Alzheimer's can be emotionally and physically exhausting. It's okay to ask for help. Support groups, carers, organisations, and professional guidance can make a big difference. And perhaps the most important thing is to remember this: even when memory fades, emotional connection often remains. A smile, a gentle touch, familiar music, or a calm voice can still bring comfort. Your loved one may not always remember the details of their life, but they still can feel love. Alzheimer's changes many things, but compassion, patience, and dignity can still guide the way families support the people they care about. I hope you like that today. If so, please like, subscribe, comment, pass on to others. Take care. Music is far more powerful than most people realise. It isn't just entertainment or something playing in the background. Music has the ability to change our mood, regulate our nervous system, and help us process emotions that sometimes we don't even have words for. Think about it. Have you ever heard a song that instantly took you back to a memory, a place, or a feeling? That's because music is deeply connected to the emotional centres of the brain. When we listen to music we love, the brain releases dopamine, a chemical linked to pleasure, motivation, and connection. But music isn't just something that makes us feel good. It can also help us heal. One powerful method is something called mood matching. Instead of forcing yourself to listen to happy music when you feel low, start with music that reflects how you feel. If you're sad, listen to something slower or emotional. Then gradually move towards music that feels lighter, This helps the brain shift emotions naturally. Music can also regulate the nervous system. Slow, gentle music can lower the heart rate and calm the body. This is why many people find instrumental music or nature sounds helpful when they feel anxious or overwhelmed. Another method is breathing with music. Choose a slow song and match your breathing to the rhythm. Breathe in for a few beats and breathe out slowly. This can help your body move from a state of stress into a calmer state. Music also helps us express emotions safely. Sometimes we hold feelings in because we don't know how to say them out loud. But a song can speak those emotions for us, and that's why people often cry during certain songs. It's a release. Singing or humming can also be powerful. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which helps regulate nervous system and reduces stress. And movement with music, whether it's dancing, walking or stretching, can help release tension that's stored in the body. Another helpful practice is creating different playlists for different emotional needs. A playlist for calming anxiety, a playlist for motivation, and a playlist for comfort on difficult days. Because when emotions hit, sometimes the right music can support you in that moment. Music also connects us to others. Sharing songs, singing together, or simply knowing someone else feels the same emotions through music can help and create a powerful sense of belonging. So, the next time you're feeling overwhelmed, low, or disconnected, try putting on a song that speaks to you. Close your eyes, take a breath, and let yourself feel it. Because sometimes healing doesn't start with a conversation. Sometimes it starts with a song. I hope you like that today. If so, like, subscribe, pass on to others, and take care. You have no idea how powerful your smile is. Not the forced one, not the I'm fine one, a real smile. Because a genuine smile doesn't just change your face, it changes your brain and it changes the nervous system of the people around you. We underestimate small things. We think impact has to be loud, big gestures, big words, big actions. But sometimes it's eye contact and a soft smile that makes someone feel safe. And safety is everything. And biologically, when you smile, especially a genuine smile, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. Those are your feel-good chemicals. So, even if your mood is low, the physical act of smiling can gently nudge your brain towards regulation. It's called the facial feedback hypothesis. And your body sends signals back to your brain. So instead of waiting to feel good to smile, sometimes you smile and it helps you feel a little better. Now here's the part people don't realise. Smiles are contagious because of mirror neurons. When someone sees you smile, your brain mirrors it automatically. Their nervous system reads, safe, friendly, no threat here. And in a world where so many people are walking around in quiet survival mode, that matters. Think about a time when you were overwhelmed and a stranger smiled at you in a shop, or held the door, or just softened their eyes. It doesn't fix your life, but it softens the moment. But let's be clear about something. I'm not talking about fake positivity. I'm not talking about smiling through trauma or suppressing pain. Forced smiling while ignoring your feelings creates more tension. What I'm talking about is connection. When you genuinely feel warm, kindness or appreciation and you let it show, that's powerful. Smiling also changes how you show up. When your face softens, your body posture shifts, your tone changes, and you become more approachable. And connection becomes easier. And humans regulate through connections. Sometimes we think, I don't matter that much. But you might be the only person that day who makes someone feel seen. You don't know who's fighting silent battles. You don't know who hasn't felt warmth in a while. A smile can't solve everything, but it can say, I see you. You're not alone in this moment. There's still softness in the world. And here's the beautiful part. The more kindness you express outwardly, the more your own nervous system learns safety. Kindness is regulating, warmth is regulating, connection is regulating. So, smiling doesn't just help others, it helps you too. So today, if it feels right, let your face soften. Let someone feel that warmth. Not because you have to, but because small moments of humanity change more than we realise. I hope you like this today. If so, like, subscribe, pass on to others, comment, and take care. Have you ever finally had something good? A healthy relationship? A new opportunity? Momentum? And then somehow you pulled away, picked a fight, numbed out, quit too soon. And afterwards you thought, why do I do this to myself? Well, let me tell you something gently. Self-sabotage is not self-hatred. It's self-protection. Most people think self-sabotage is laziness, lack of discipline, or fear of success, and it's not. It's a nervous system pattern. If chaos, criticism, unpredictability, or emotional inconsistency were part of your early life, your body learnt something very important. Safe does not feel familiar. Familiar feels safe. So, when life starts to feel calm, stable, healthy, your nervous system doesn't relax, it scans for danger. Because unfamiliar peace can feel more threatening than a familiar stress. And this is why you procrastinate when things matter most. You push people away when they get close. You abandon routines that were helping you. And you relapse when things feel too calm. Your system is not trying to ruin your life. It's trying to bring you back to what it understands. Predictable pain feels safer than unpredictable joy. And let that land. If success wasn't emotionally safe growing up, if being visible led to criticism, if rest led to guilt, if love came with instability, then your body learned don't go too far, don't relax, don't trust this. Self-sabotage is your survival brain saying, this is unfamiliar, retreat. It's not weakness, it's conditioning. So what do you do instead of shaming yourself? Well, you slow down when things are going well. That sounds simple, but it is powerful. When you notice the urge to pull away, pause. When you want to quit something meaningful, breathe first. When you feel the discomfort of things going right, name it. This feels unfamiliar. This feels exposed. This feels vulnerable. Self-sabotage loses power when it's brought into awareness. The goal isn't to force yourself into success. It's to increase your capacity to tolerate safety. To sit with calm, to stay when things are good, to allow joy without bracing for impact. And that takes regulation. Small amounts of grounding, slowing your breathing, keeping your promises to yourself, not making permanent decisions for temporary fear. The next time you catch yourself sabotaging something good, instead of asking, what's wrong with me, ask, what part of me feels unsafe right now? And that question changes everything. If this resonated, you're not alone. And if you want to understand your nervous system instead of fighting it, like, subscribe, comment, pass on to others. And take care. Let's talk about ego. Not the loud, arrogant kind. Not the obnoxious superiority complex. I'm talking about the quiet ego. The one that gets defensive, the one that needs to be right, the one that feels attacked, even when no one is attacking you. The ego isn't evil, it's protective. And what actually is ego? Well, in psychology, especially in the work of Sigmund Freud, the ego was described as the part of the mind that mediates between instinct and morality. It tries to keep us safe and socially acceptable. But here's the problem. When you've experienced trauma, rejection, or emotional neglect, your ego becomes hyper-protective. It turns into armour, and armour is heavy. Unchecked ego can make you defensive instead of curious. It can make you argue instead of listening. It makes you avoid feedback. It makes you self-sabotage when things are going well. And it makes you cut people off instead of communicating. Ego says, I'm fine, I don't care. They're the problem, I already know. But growth says, what can I learn here? The ego hates vulnerability, but growth requires it. Here's something most people don't realise. Low self-esteem can also be ego. Over-explaining, needing validation, taking everything personally, feeling deeply offended by small things. That's still ego, just wounded ego. Ego is the identity you build to survive. But survival isn't the same as evolution. Ways to change for the better. You don't need to kill the ego, you regulate it. And here's how. You can notice your triggers. If something makes you instantly defensive, pause. Ask, am I protecting my truth or protecting my pride? Awareness weakens ego control. You could get comfortable saying, I was wrong. This is ego's biggest fear. But every time you admit fault, you grow emotional strength. Secure people can apologise, insecure ego resists it. Separate feedback from identity. Feedback is information, it is not a character assassination. When you stop seeing correction as rejection, your nervous system calms. You could choose curiosity over control. Ego wants control and growth wants understanding. Instead of, how dare they, try, why did that affect me so much? That question alone can change your life. The final truth is that ego isn't your enemy. It protected you when you needed protection. But if you let it run your relationships, your business, your healing journey, it will isolate you. The most powerful people aren't ego-free, they're ego-aware. And awareness is freedom. I hope you like that today. If so, like, comment, pass on to others, and take care. Grief is heavy and trauma is overwhelming, and when they exist together, it can feel unbearable. Because trauma isn't just about what happened, it's about what your nervous system did to survive it. And grief isn't just sadness, it's the pain of losing what was or what should have been. Grief after trauma is complicated. When loss is sudden, shocking, abusive or chaotic, the body doesn't get time to process gently. Instead of clean sadness, you may feel numbness, panic, anger, flashbacks, guilt, emotional shutdown. You might think, why am I not crying properly? Why can't I move on? Why does this still feel so raw? Because trauma interrupts grief. Your brain stays in survival mode, and survival mode doesn't allow softness. Your body holds it. Trauma lives in the nervous system, so when you grieve, your body may react before your mind does. Tight chest, shallow breathing, sudden waves of fear, exhaustion, sleep disturbance. This isn't weakness, it's your system trying to discharge something overwhelming. And sometimes that discharge needs to be physical. Release is not wrong, grief isn't always quiet. Sometimes it needs sound. A good scream in the car, crying loudly instead of holding it in, hitting a boxing bag, punching a pillow, shaking your arms out, going for a fast, angry walk. That isn't losing control, that's completely a stress response. When trauma happens, the fight or flight energy often gets trapped. If your body wanted to fight but couldn't, or run but froze, that energy can still sit there. Safe physical release can help the nervous system reset. It's not aggression, it's regulation. There is no timeline. People expect grief to look neat. Real grief doesn't follow a straight line. It loops. You can feel better for weeks, then a smell, a song, a date hits you sideways. That doesn't mean you failed. It means attachment mattered. And attachment leaves imprints. Healing isn't forgetting. Healing from trauma and grief doesn't mean you stop loving. It means the memory becomes less charged, less sharp, less overwhelming. You can think of them or what happened without your nervous system going into alarm. That is integration, not erasure. What can help is when trauma and grief intertwine, healing is layered. Gentle trauma processing helps, nervous system regulation, safe conversations, movement and physical relief, sunlight, structure, self-compassion instead of self-pressure, and sometimes simply permission. Permission to not be okay for a while. Permission to feel angry as well as sadness. Permission to scream if that's what your body needs. You're not broken because this still hurts. You are human. Grief is love with nowhere to go. Trauma is survival that stays switched on too long. And both can soften. Both can shift. Not overnight, but slowly, steadily, with safety. And one day you'll notice it still matters, but it no longer controls you. And that's healing. I hope you like this today. If so, please like, subscribe, pass on to others, and take care. Kindness isn't soft, it's strong. Kindness isn't weakness, it isn't people-pleasing, and it definitely isn't letting people walk all over you. Kindness is regulated power. It's choosing not to react when you could. It's pausing instead of escalating. It's responding from strength, not from wounded pride. Real kindness requires boundaries. Because if you're exhausted, resentful, and overextended, that's not kindness. That's self-abandonment. Kindness says, I won't harm you, but I also won't harm myself. It's firm, it's clear, it's calm. And in a world that rewards outrage, kindness is rebellious. It takes strength to stay steady when something else is dysregulated. It takes maturity to not match someone's aggression. It takes self-respect to walk away instead of proving a point. Kindness is emotional intelligence in action. It's understanding that most people are reacting from pain and choosing not to multiply it. But here's something practical. You don't have to change the world overnight. Start small. One intentional act of kindness a day. Hold a door. Send a message, checking in. Let someone merge into traffic. Leave a positive comment. Speak gently to yourself when you make a mistake. Small acts regulate your nervous system. They shift your focus outwards in a healthy way. They build identity. I am someone who chooses kindness. And over time, that compounds. Research shows tiny, consistent behaviours shape mood and resilience more than big, dramatic gestures. Kindness isn't about grand speeches. It's about daily choices. But let me be clear. Kindness does not mean tolerating abuse. Kindness does not mean staying silent. And kindness does not mean shrinking yourself. Sometimes the kindest thing you can say is no. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is leave. And sometimes the deepest kindness is towards yourself. Taking a break, logging off, not engaging, resting without earning it. Because a regulated nervous system creates more change than a reactive one will. Kindness is strength over control. It's power without cruelty. And the strongest people in the room are usually the calmest. So today, just one small act, that's enough. And start with yourself. I hope you like that today. If so, like and subscribe, pass on to others. Take care. When people hear the word trauma, they think of something extreme. Abuse, war, major accidents. But trauma isn't defined by the event. It's defined by what happened inside you when you didn't feel safe and you were alone with it. Trauma can be being consistently criticised, growing up walking on eggshells, feeling invisible, never being comforted, having to grow up too fast. And here's the hidden depth of trauma. It doesn't just live in the memories. It lives in your nervous system. That's why you overreact sometimes, why you shut down, why you struggle with trust, why you push people away when you actually want closeness, why you feel anxious even when nothing bad is happening. Your body is responding to something old, as if it's happening now. That's not weakness, that's survival wiring. Trauma says, don't relax, it's not safe. Don't trust, you'll get hurt. Don't need, you'll be disappointed. Stay small, stay quiet. And over time, those survival strategies become your personality. But they are not your personality, they are your protection. Now let's talk about how to help. Because healing isn't just insight, it's practice. First, name it without shame. Instead of, why am I like this? Try, this is a trauma response. That one sentence reduces self-attack immediately. Second is regulate before you reflect. You cannot think clearly when your nervous system is in fight, flight or freeze. Slow your breathing, longer exhales than inhales, and put your feet flat on the floor. Notice 5 things that you can see. Cold water on your wrist, small physical movements. Calm your body first, insight second. Third is challenge the old meaning. When something triggers you, ask, is this happening now? Or is this reminding me of then? Fourth is build safe experience slowly. You don't need to trust everyone. You need small moments of safe connection. Share something small, set one boundary, ask for one help, and notice when the world doesn't collapse. Your nervous system learns through experience, not lectures. Fifth, be patient with the pace. Healing trauma isn't dramatic, it's repetitive. It's choosing differently again and again until your body believes you're safe. And sometimes you need support, therapy, trauma-informed work, EMDR, nervous system education. There is no weakness in getting help. The hidden depth of trauma is what shapes how you see the world. But the hidden power inside you is adaptable. You survived. Now you get to learn how to live without bracing for impact. You're not broken. You adapted to survive something hard. And you can gently teach your system that it doesn't have to fight anymore. If you like that today, please like, subscribe, pass on to others. Take care. Social anxiety isn't shyness. It's not being awkward. It's not lacking confidence. It's your nervous system going into threat mode in rooms that aren't actually dangerous. And if you live with it, you know it feels exhausting. Social anxiety is the fear of being judged, rejected, embarrassed, or exposed. And your brain will scan for, they think I'm weird. I sounded awkward. Why did I say that? And then your body will react as if it's under attack. Racing heart, sweaty palms, shaky voice, mind going blank. This is your threat detector firing too loudly. The problem isn't you. The problem is a brain that's learnt that social spaces aren't safe. Social anxiety comes from being criticised or shamed growing up, bullying, trauma, being the different child, high expectations and perfectionism. Your brain learnt, if I get it wrong, I'm not safe. So now it tries to protect you by over-monitoring everything you do. But protection has turned into a prison. Ways to try and help yourself are stop trying to be perfect. Social anxiety feeds on perfectionism. Instead of, I must say the right thing, try, I'm allowed to be human. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to analyse you. Also, move the focus outwards. Social anxiety is hyper self-focus. Before entering a situation, set an intention. Maybe I'm going to ask 3 questions. I'm going to notice eye colour. I'm going to really listen. Curiosity reduces fear. Also, regulate the body first. You cannot think your way out of anxiety when your nervous system is activated. Try slow breathing, 4 seconds in and 6 out. Drop your shoulders and clench your jaw. Feel your feet on the floor. Signal safety to the body first. Also, gradual exposure, not avoidance. Avoidance keeps anxiety alive. Start small, comment on 1 post, make 1 phone call, say hello first. Small wins rewire the brain.
Challenge the thought with CBT methods. When your mind says, they think I'm stupid, ask, what evidence do I have? Is there another explanation? What would I say to a client or friend? Anxiety speaks in assumptions, not facts. Also, accept some discomfort. Confidence isn't the absence of anxiety. It's walking into the room with anxiety. You don't need zero nerves, you need willingness. So what if your anxiety doesn't mean you're socially incapable? What if it means you care? Many social anxious people are deep thinkers, empathic, observant. The goal isn't to erase anxiety, it's to reduce its volume so your real personality can come through. So, if social anxiety has made your world smaller, you're not broken. Your nervous system is protective and it can learn safety slowly, gently, repeatedly. You don't have to become the loudest person in the room. You just have to feel safe being you. If you like this today, like, subscribe, pass on, and take care. So before we begin, get into bed properly. Lights low, under the covers, phone down. Let this be the last thing you hear tonight. Close your eyes. You're not trying to sleep, you're just listening. And sleep will come when it's ready. Now take a slow breath in and a longer breath out. Do that again for me. In and a longer out breath. Feel the bed holding you, supporting you completely. Now, in your mind, imagine you are standing in a calm, white room. Not bright or clinical. Soft and white. Peaceful, quiet. The air feels still, safe. And in this room there are 2 doors. One door is labelled the past. The other door is labelled the present. You are in control here. Walk slowly towards the door, mark the past. Notice you don't have to relive anything. You don't have to analyse anything. You're just there. You are simply carrying the weight of it. Imagine placing all the old conversations and the regrets and the memories, hurt, anything that's serving you no purpose, into a container in front of the door. Place them all in that container. You don't deny it existed, you simply choose not to carry it into tonight. Now, gently push that container through the door and close it. And hear the click as you lock it. The past is not erased, it's just not coming to bed with you. Take a slow breath in again. And a longer one out. Feel lighter already. Now turn to the second door, the one marked the present, and this door holds today. Unfinished emails, things you've said, things you didn't say, tomorrow's to-do list, worries about what might happen, and I want you to gather it all up. Imagine placing it into another container. You don't solve it, you don't organise it, you just offload it and slide it gently through the door that says present on. And close that door behind and lock it. Hear the second click of the door. Because tonight nothing from today is required of you anymore. And now you are standing in the quiet white room. Empty, light, nothing chasing you, Nothing pulling at you. Just calm. Take another slow breath in and a longer one out. The white room begins to soften around you and the floor becomes your mattress. The air becomes the warmth of your duvet and your body grows heavier. Arms heavier, legs heavier, eyelids thick and relaxed. There is nothing behind those locked doors that needs you right now. Your brain will rest. Your nervous system will reset. And you can drift deeper and deeper into a calm, healing sleep. And if you wake in the night, you can return to the white room. The doors remain locked and you remain safe. Now, just drift and drift off to sleep. Let's clear something up. CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, is not just about thinking positive. It's not about pretending everything is fine, and it's definitely not about ignoring your feelings. CBT is about understanding the connection between your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviours, because they're all linked. Here's the basic model. Something happens, you have a thought about it, that thought creates a feeling, and that feeling drives your behaviour. For example, your friend doesn't reply to a message. Your thought could be that they're annoyed with me. Your feeling then would be anxiety, and then you'd overthink and maybe send another message or even withdraw. But what if that thought was, they're probably busy? The feeling then would be calm, and your behaviour, well, you'd carry on with the rest of your day. Same situation, different thought, different outcome. And that's why CBT works. It doesn't change reality, it changes interpretation. And your interpretation is what shapes your emotional response. Now here's why it's powerful. Your brain is wired for survival, not accuracy. It jumps to worst case scenarios, it mind reads, it assumes rejection. CBT helps you slow that process down and question it. Not aggressively, not with shame, but with curiosity. So how do you apply CBT to yourself? Step 1, catch that thought. And when you feel a strong emotion, pause and ask, what just went through my mind? Write it down if you can. Be honest, even if it sounds irrational. Step 2 is to check the evidence. Ask yourself what evidence supports this thought. What evidence goes against it? Not feelings, facts. Step 3, create a balanced alternative thought. Not toxic positivity, not everything is amazing, but something realistic. Instead of I always mess things up, try I made a mistake, but that doesn't define me. Instead of no one likes me, try I'm feeling insecure right now, but I don't actually know that's true. Step 4 is act opposite to the fear when appropriate. Anxiety says avoid. CBT says gently approach. Depression says withdraw. CBT says small action first. Behaviour and change reinforces thought change. And that's the key, because the brain learns through experience. And over time, when you repeatedly challenge distorted thinking, your brain forms new pathways. And that's why CBT is evidence-based and widely used. It's practical, it's structured, and it teaches you to become your own therapist. And now an important thing, CBT doesn't dismiss trauma. It doesn't blame you for your thoughts. It simply gives you tools so your thoughts don't control you. Because thoughts are not facts. They're just mental events. And you are allowed to question them. I hope you liked this today. If you did, like and subscribe, pass them to others, and take care. High achievers don't look like they're self-sabotaging. They look disciplined. successful, focused. But what if that very same thing that makes you succeed is also the thing that is slowly burning you out? Because self-sabotage doesn't always look like failure. Sometimes it looks like overworking, overtraining, overthinking, overgiving, and never stopping, and never feeling satisfied. High achievers rarely fall apart publicly. They push harder instead. More hours, more gym sessions, more goals, more pressure. But here's the truth most people won't say. For many high performers, achievement isn't just ambition, it's regulation. It's how the nervous system feels safe. If I'm producing, I'm valuable. If I'm progressing, I'm safe. If I'm winning, I'm enough. And if I stop, well, that's when the anxiety creeps in. That's when the emptiness whispers. The form of self-sabotage no one talks about is it doesn't always look chaotic. It can look like burnout you ignore, relationships you choose that are emotionally unavailable, steroids you push in your body, training through injury, working until 1 a.m, saying I'll rest when I've earned it, or achieving something huge and feeling absolutely nothing. That's not laziness. That's a nervous system that has learned love was conditional. Where it often starts is something along the line that many high achievers have learned. Being good gets praise, winning gets attention, success gets love. So doing became identity. And resting started to feel dangerous because if I'm not achieving, who am I? Achievement can become addictive, just like substances, just like validation, just like the gym. You need more to feel the same high. The bar moves, the targets shift, the reliefs get shorter, and eventually the body forces a stop through burnout, illness, relationship breakdowns, emotional crash. Because what you don't regulate gently will regulate you forcefully. The shift. Real strength isn't pushing through exhaustion, it's being able to sit still without feeling worthless. It's being able to rest without panic. It's achieving because you want to, not because you're running from something. If you can't switch off, if silence makes you uncomfortable, if success feels empty, you're not weak. You might just be wired for survival, not peace. And no amount of achievement can outrun what's unhealed. If this resonated, feel free to comment, like and subscribe, pass on to others, and take care. Grief doesn't end, it softens. And moving on isn't about forgetting, it's about learning how to live while carrying love differently. If you're wondering how to move forward slowly, this is for you. First, understand this. Grief is not something you fix, it's something you integrate. You don't wake up one day healed, you take small repeated steps that retrain your nervous system to feel safe again. And that takes time. Here's some practical methods to move on slowly. The 10-minute grief window. Okay, so this is instead of trying to avoid grief all day or drowning in it all day, set aside 10 minutes. And during them 10 minutes, look at photos, cry if you need to, write what you miss, speak to them out loud. And when the timer ends, gently shift back into the present. This teaches your brain, I can visit this grief and I can return. That builds emotional strength. Number 2 is micro goals, tiny forward steps. Don't aim to be okay. Aim to shower today, walk around the block, reply to 1 message, cook 1 meal. Grief shrinks when life slowly grows around it. Number 3 is memory reframing. Instead of only replaying the final days or painful moments, intentionally recall a funny story, something they taught you, a moment of connection. This shifts grief from trauma-based replay to love-based remembrance. Number 4 is keep a continuing bond. Moving on does not mean cutting off. You can light a candle on certain days, cook their favourite meal, Wear something that reminds you of them. Carry a small object in your bag. You're not erasing them, you're changing how you relate to them. Number 5 is body regulation, because grief lives in the nervous system. When grief hits suddenly, place one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach, and slowly inhale for 4, and slow exhale for 6. Number 6 is guilt release exercise. Many people struggle with, I should have, I could have, if only. Write those sentences down. Then underneath each one, write, I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. Read it out loud, over and over if needed. Number 7 is gradual exposure to life again. If you've withdrawn socially, start small. Coffee with one safe person. 30 minutes out. Leave early if needed. Don't wait to feel ready. Move gently before you feel ready. Readiness often follows action, not the other way round. Here's a gentle grounding. Take one slow breath in and out. Notice something you can see, something you can hear, something you can physically feel. You are here, you are surviving, and that matters. Grief may walk beside you, but step by step you are learning to walk forward too. And that is how healing happens, slowly, not perfectly, but steadily. I hope you enjoyed this today. If so, like and subscribe and pass it on to others, and take care. If you have ADHD, you've probably been called lazy, too much, distracted, unreliable. But here's the truth. ADHD isn't a character flaw. It's a nervous system difference. And once you understand it, you stop fighting yourself and start working with your brain. ADHD isn't about not caring, it's about regulation. Regulating attention, emotions, impulses, motivation. An ADHD brain doesn't lack ability, it struggles with consistency. You can hyperfocus for 6 hours and then not reply to a message for 3 days. And that's not laziness, that's dopamine inconsistency. ADHD brains run on interest, urgency, novelty, or pressure, not importance. So you might leave things until the last minute, feel overwhelmed starting simple tasks, interrupt because you feel your thoughts feel urgent at the time. You may struggle in relationships once novelty fades, and the shame builds. But shame makes ADHD worse. Stress reduces executive function, so the cycle continues. If it's not visible, it doesn't exist. That's not failure, it's just wiring. You cannot think clearly when dysregulated, so regulate first. Do some walking, cold water on wrists, deep breathing, 30 seconds of jumping, stretching, because movement resets attention faster than forcing focus. Forget 2-hour focus blocks, try 20 to 30 minutes on, and 5 minutes off even, because ADHD thrives on short bursts. The hardest part is starting. I know that. So tell yourself, just 5 minutes. It builds motivation and not the other way round when you're not putting too much pressure on yourself. If you interrupt, pause and own it. If you forget, repair it. If you get bored, check whether it's boredom or nervous system calm. Transparency reduces shame. Many people with ADHD grew up feeling too much. So they may mask, overcompensate, overachieve, or avoid completely. But ADHD isn't something to crush, it's something to regulate. When managed well, ADHD comes with creativity, energy, passion, deep empathy, and hyper-focused strengths. It's powerful when directed. You're not broken, you're not behind, and you're not incapable. You just have a brain that needs structure, movement, and understanding. Stop fighting your wiring, start learning it. If this helped today, comment below, because ADHD isn't less, it's different, and different can be powerful. I look forward to any comments, pass it on to others, and take care.
Let's talk about exercise and mental health. And I want to say it clearly first. Exercise is not about fitness, weight, or pushing yourself until you're exhausted. It's about your nervous system. Movement helps the brain release chemicals that lift mood, reduce stress, and calm anxiety. It helps burn off adrenaline, the stuff that builds up when you're overwhelmed, worried, or stuck in survival mode. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Exercise counts even if your mobility isn't good. Exercise counts even if you can't leave the house. Exercise counts even if it's tiny. If you can walk, a short walk is enough. If you can't walk, moving your arms, stretching your neck, rolling your shoulders, or even breathing with intention is enough. Your brain doesn't measure effort the way that fitness industry does. It simply registers movement and safety. For someone who is restricted mobility, chronically ill, or even burnt out, getting out of bed and doing something gentle, a gentle movement, is not weak, it's powerful. Even chair-based exercises, stretching in bed, light yoga, standing up and sitting down slowly, opening a window and moving around in fresh air. All of this sends a message to your nervous system saying, I'm alive, I'm moving, and I'm safe. And that message matters. On the days you don't do much, do less. On the days you can't do anything, rest without guilt. Mental health improves not from forcing the body, but from working with it. Movement isn't about fixing yourself, it's about supporting yourself. And whatever your ability is, you're allowed to move in a way that feels kind to you. So let's do something together right now. That counts as exercise for your mental health today. You can stay seated, you don't need to move much. Gently place one hand on your chest, and if it feels okay, one on your belly too. Breathe in through your nose for 4, and breathe out through your mouth for 6. Longer out breath tells the nervous system it can stand down now. Let's do that 3 times. As you breathe out, let your shoulders drop, even slightly. Unclench your jaw, let your tongue rest in your mouth. Now silently say to yourself, in this moment, I am enough and I am safe. You don't have to feel calm, you're just letting your body soften a little. This is your moment. This is the moment for you to regulate. This is care. This is self-care. On the days you can do more gently. On the days you can do less without guilt. And on the days you can't do anything, rest is part of healing. Mental health doesn't improve by forcing the body, it improves by working with it. Movement isn't about fixing yourself, it's about supporting yourself exactly how you are. I hope you've enjoyed this today. If you did, please subscribe and pass it on to others. Thank you. Take care. Before we begin, I want to say this clearly and honestly. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not here to give medical advice or rules to follow. I'm simply a woman going through menopause myself, sharing what has helped me so far. So, take what resonates from this and leave what doesn't. Your body is the expert. Menopause isn't a breakdown, it's a transition, and transitions ask for support, not criticism. Your body isn't failing you, it's simply asking to be fed differently now. As hormones shift, estrogen lowers, energy, sleep and mood and weight all changes too. And food becomes less about control and more about nourishment. Here's what I've found personally helpful for me. So far, that is. Protein was something I didn't eat enough of before, but it's been one of the biggest changes for me. Including protein with every meal has helped me feel steadier with my energy and fewer cravings and a better mood and focus too. For me, I eat more eggs, fish, chicken or turkey, Greek yogurt, lentils, beans, even tofu. Nothing extreme though, just consistency. Also healthy fats, because it's something I stopped fearing now. Fat used to feel like something to avoid, but during menopause that mindset stopped serving me. Adding healthy fats has helped me feel more satisfied after meals, less inflamed, more emotionally steady. So I eat more things like olive oil, avocados, nuts and seeds, oily fish. My hormones seem to be coping much better now I'm not restricting things. Also, fibre supporting my gut and hormones. I noticed digestion, bloating and even mood improve when I focused on fibre. For me, I eat more vegetables and leafy greens, berries, whole grains, flax or chia seeds. Because a healthier gut has made menopause feel more manageable for me, you could give that a go too. I also say try and restrict the sugar intake too. It does help. Also, bone supporting foods, because bone health became more important to me in this stage of life, especially when you ache all over daily at times. So I've tried to include dairy or fortified plant milks, yogurt and cheese, sardines, leafy greens, alongside gentle movement and sunlight where possible for the vitamin D intake. Hydration has helped with me too. Drinking enough water helped me with hot flushes, headaches, fatigue. And while I'm not rigid, reducing ultra-processed foods where I can has also helped my body feel calmer. I found that skipping meals or under-eating made menopause symptoms worse. Eating regular and combining protein, healthy fats and fibre has helped reduce energy crashes, irritability for me, intense sugar cravings that I used to get to. Again, no bans, just balance here. What I want you to hear is that this isn't about perfection. It's not about weight loss even. It's not about fighting your body. It's about listening. Menopause has taught me that nourishment matters, not punishment. If you're going through this too, you're not broken, you're just adapting. Feed yourself like someone you care about. That alone changes everything. I hope that you've learned something today or even enjoyed it. And if so, please like and subscribe and tell others to check it out. Take care.